Okay, so today we're going to deep dive into this whole idea of divine timing, and we're taking a cue from rule number 37 in the 40 Rules of Love.
Okay.
Um, and it's an interesting one. I think everyone listening has probably pondered this at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, are things just happening randomly, or is there like a plan? Is there something bigger going on?
Like, is it fate or free will?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how much control do we really have over our lives?
Mm.
So this rule uses this really striking image to describe God. It talks about God as a meticulous clockmaker.
Oh, wow.
What kind of imagery pops into your head when you hear that?
I mean, a clockmaker, I think of someone who's very precise.
Right.
Like, everything has its place.
Yeah.
Every gear, every spring, like, it all works together perfectly.
Yeah, like an intricate system.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that's what this metaphor is getting at. The
Yeah.
idea that the universe is this incredibly complex clock, and even the tiniest things are important. Even the things that seem random or chaotic might actually be part of this bigger picture.
That makes sense. And the rule goes on to say that, everything happens in its own time, not a minute late or early.
Oh, interesting.
Have you ever felt that, like, in your own life, like things just happened at the perfect moment?
Oh, absolutely. Or even the opposite. Like sometimes it feels like the universe is testing you.
Right, throwing obstacles in your way?
Exactly. Like, why is this happening
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
But then later on, you look back and you're like, oh, okay, it actually all makes sense now.
Yeah, it all kind of falls into place.
Right.
It's like that saying, hindsight is 20/20.
Exactly.
But it does make you wonder about that whole fate versus free will thing.
It does.
If there's this divine timeline, does that mean we don't have any choices?
Right. Are we just puppets?
Like, is everything predetermined?
I don't know. It's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a big one, but maybe it's not so black and white. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a balance. Like maybe there's this plan, but we still have the freedom to choose how we respond to things.
Hmm. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
And then there's this last line in the rule that really got me thinking.
What's that?
It says, for each, there's a time to love and a time to die.
That's powerful.
Yeah. It's like, whoa.
It really makes you think about the big picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, like love and death, those are two of the most fundamental human experiences.
Absolutely.
And to think that they might be preordained,
Mhm.
it's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, for some people, that might be comforting.
Yeah, like a sense of peace.
Right. Like knowing there's a plan.
Yeah.
But for others, it might be really anxiety provoking.
Yeah, like, are we really just living out a script?
Right.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
I mean, when you really think about it, maybe this whole rule isn't meant to be taken so literally.
Mm.
Like, maybe it's not about an actual clockmaker in the sky.
Yeah, maybe it's more metaphorical.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Mhm.
maybe it's just a way of saying that life has its own natural rhythm, its own ebb and flow.
And we can learn to trust that rhythm.
Yeah, like maybe instead of trying to control every little thing, we could just try to go with the flow.
I like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it.
It is.
So thinking about this whole idea of divine timing,
Mm.
I wonder if there are any times in your own life where you felt like something happened at just the right moment or maybe even at the worst possible moment.
Mm.
And what did you learn from those experiences?
That's a good question. I think it's worth reflecting on those moments for sure.
Yeah, because maybe those moments are trying to teach us something.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up today, I think we can all agree that this whole concept of divine timing is pretty complex.
Definitely.
It's one of those things that's open to interpretation,
Mm.
but it definitely gives us a lot to think about.
It does.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening. If you were to view your life as a meticulously crafted clock, how would that change the way you see each moment?
Hmm.
And how would it influence the choices you make? Yeah. It's something to ponder.
It is, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into divine timing.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.